Good day to brothers and sisters. Today, Han Long is going to share and read a story picked from Master Cheng Yan's book, A Steady Heart and Steady Practice. Stories for Living a Good Life.
Page 115. The Most Foolish Person. Almost all people have the habitual tendencies of greed, anger, and confusion. What lay people crave is wealth, pleasure, fame, and fortune, while those who engage in spiritual practice seek merits, virtue, and wisdom. However, when spiritual practitioners only talk about how they will attain merits, virtue, and wisdom, then everything they do is conditioned on getting something in return. In this conditional giving is greed. Some people feel that their every action creates merits and virtue, and that they are all done out of wisdom. But this leads to arrogance. On the surface, a person like this may appear to have wisdom, but in fact, that person is most foolish of all. Wisdom is not something we can greedily seek after, nor is it something to flaunt so that others will acknowledge us. As Buddhist practitioners, we must be without greed or expectations, and there is no need to parade our achievements. During the Buddha's lifetime, he had a disciple who was like this. This disciple came from a good family, yet when he saw the Buddha's dignified appearance and the harmony of the Sangha, he was willing to give up all to join the monastic community. Yet, even after this disciple became a monastic, he still did not give up his fame and fortune, and moreover, he was extremely arrogant. When the Buddha learned of this, he invited the disciple over and said to him, "I heard you are very brave and fear nothing. I hear that your wisdom is unsurpassed. Is this true?" The disciple answered, "I left my family and separated myself from the worldly affections. This is the work of a great being. As the Buddha teaches, I have used my wisdom like a sword to cut myself off from the worldly affections and love. Isn't this what it means to have great wisdom?" The Buddha asked him again, "Do you really fear nothing?" The disciple answered, "My body is very healthy and I can easily do any activity in the Sangha. There is nothing for me to fear." The Buddha then said, "You must still earnestly cultivate this state of fearlessness and let it manifest." Thus, the Buddha asked him to go and stay in the mountain forest for several days. If he was truly fearless, he would be able to withstand of all the tests in this environment. This would truly prove his bravery and strength. The Buddha asked him to do this for everyone to see. This disciple stubbornly remarked, "What is it so hard about living in the forest for a few days?" And with that, he went into the mountains. After arriving in the forest, the disciple crossed his leg and sat in meditation. Gradually, the sky grew dark and the wind blew stronger. A cold wind began to blow, and the noise of the wind whistled through the trees. He could not help but feel afraid, and it seemed as though many sounds were calling out all around him. He wanted to control his mind, but he could not. Then a thought occurred to him. At home, I have whatever I want, and there are many people to wait on me. Why would I want to join the Sangha? Why would I want to leave the crowds and live alone in this dark mountain forest? The more he thought about it, the more he regretted his decision, and thus he went through a very difficult night. When dawn finally arrived, he thought, "I made it through, but this is nothing. If I go back to the Sangha now, the others will laugh at me. I still need to keep trying." So he made it through the day, and soon the night began to fall. Although there was moonlight, the shadow of the trees looked even more ferocious. The wind blew strongly again. The sound of birds' call in the valley and the harsh hooting of the owls were especially frightening to him. He curled his body up and unable to sit still. At that time, he thought again, "I only have two paths before me. One is to return to the secular world, the other is to return to the Sangha." Finally, the day gradually dawned, but he could not make up his mind. At that time, the Buddha came to him. The disciple had already made it through 2 nights, so the Buddha came to visit him out of compassion. When the disciple saw the Buddha, he felt like a lost child who had found his loving parent. He fully prostrated before the Buddha in repentance and said, "Venerable Buddha, in the past, I felt like my wisdom was great and could surpass all things. I also felt like my body was very strong and could bear all trials. Yet, I did not realize how weak my mind really is. I have been terrified, and I am deeply repentant." The Buddha said, "There are the illness of your mind. First is your greed. Second is your self-importance. And third is your ignorance. Now that you know this, you can return to the Sangha and find someone with wisdom to accompany you. There, through hard work, you can follow the examples of Sariputra, Maudayalana, and Ananda." The group of disciples who followed the Buddha had very kind of personality and habitual tendency. The Buddha trained his disciple with wisdom, helping them to face their external environment and eliminate their thoughts of pride and confusion within. The people around us are all teachers we can learn from. If we encounter a foolish person and hear him hold himself up as an example, we must pay attention and heighten our vigilance. When we see an arrogant person, we must reflect on ourselves. If we encounter a person with genuine wisdom, we must humbly learn how he handles his affairs. Then we will gradually be able to eliminate our own greed, anger, and ignorance at the source. Thank you.
I chased the sky with empty pride. Thought I was fearless, no need to hide. Left behind my golden name, but shadows whispered just the same. I wore wisdom like a crown, spoke of merit, held it down. Yet in the silence of the trees, my heart bowed to fear's cold breeze. The most foolish one I now see is not the weak, but the one like me, blinded by the self I praised, lost in the games my ego played. True wisdom's quiet, never loud. It walks with grace, head unbowed. The wind, it spoke of lessons deep. In lonely nights I couldn't sleep. Strength was nothing but a show. When fear took hold, I let it grow. Regret is sharp, but kindness heals. The Buddha's light, so soft, reveals. Greed and pride, they blur the way, but humble hearts will never stray. The most foolish one I now see is not the weak, but the one like me, blinded by the self I praised, lost in the games my ego played. True wisdom's quiet, never loud. It walks with grace, head unbowed. No need the sky with empty pride. Thought I was fearless, no need to hide. Left behind my golden name, but shadows whispered just the same. I wore wisdom like a crown, spoke of merit, held it down. Yet in the silence of the trees, my heart bowed to fear's cold breeze. The most foolish one I now see is not the weak, but the one like me, blinded by the self I praised, lost in the games my ego played. True wisdom's quiet, never loud. It walks with grace, head unbowed. The wind, it spoke of lessons deep. In lonely nights I couldn't sleep. Strength was nothing but a show. When fear took hold, I let it grow. Regret is sharp, but kindness heals. The Buddha's light, so soft, reveals. Greed and pride, they blur the way, but humble hearts will never stray. The most foolish one I now see is not the weak, but the one like me, blinded by the self I praise, lost in the games my ego played. True wisdom's quiet, never loud. It walks with grace, head unbowed. No need for fame, no need for gold. Just let compassion take its hold. The bravest step is letting go and finding peace in all we know. The most foolish one now set free is not the